welcome to the Everything's Taken podcast, the podcast where Wood and I actually couldn't come up with a name because everything else was taken, so it is what it is. This is our second episode. Wood, how you feeling? Episode 2, come on.
At this point, I feel like a seasoned veteran. I think the start of the first one, I said I was nervous and I was excited. This time I'm like, yeah, let's just get it over with.
Let's just do it. Get out of the way.
Let's just do it.
I got shit to do. I got so many things to talk over you about.
I have games to play and bills to pay. I do like that we had such an awesome reception to our last podcast.
Yes.
And I can't say thank you to enough people for that. I remember I put that up and I said to you, if we hit 3,000 views on this video, I'll be happy. Because I've seen a lot of podcasts go up on these big channels, even smaller channels, and they'll get just a fraction of the views because no one wants to start a podcast in 2017. There's so many podcasts out there. But we had so many people listen, comment. They were saying they wanted it on iTunes. We put it up on iTunes and they were so excited to go and listen to it a second time on iTunes. So a big thank you to everyone that really enjoyed that last podcast.
Yes, it's we've had a very great and surprising response. I expected a couple of people to watch it because you have a really good install base, if you will, on your channel. So I mean, at this point, we're sitting at 4,000 views. So yeah, it's on iTunes and Stitcher, so leave us some reviews on iTunes. Hopefully we can maybe chart one day. I don't know. We're looking towards the horizon there, but we're off to a good start, and thanks to everybody for your feedback. We're gonna try not.
I did like a lot of the feedback, and one of them was talking over each other, which we just did again. But here's the thing with that.
Yeah, it's
we're doing this over Skype. He's in Australia, and I'm in North America. I'm in Canada, and there is a slight delay. But for the most part, we both love talking and the sound of our own voices. So you're gonna have to deal with that just a little bit during our podcasts.
Yeah, it's gonna be what it is. But the first episode, we're learning. We're on our way. So like I said, this is episode 2, brought to you by Pepsi Max Vanilla. All the taste and no sugar.
I haven't had Pepsi Max Vanilla, but no, it's not promoted by Pepsi Max.
No, it's not. Yeah, so episode 2, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today on our agenda. And I first and foremost, I just want to mention to everybody that I'm currently cosplaying as a Nintendo rep from 2005 here with my Nintendo DS.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see him right now, for those of you that are just listening, he looks like an idiot right now.
I know. This is my only chance to shine in public, so it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
You look like you just came from playing bowls with my grandpa.
Lawn bowls. Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so well, I guess we'll get right into the program here. We've got, like I said before, we got a very stacked program. A lot of stuff to talk about. Some stuff we don't even know because sometimes we just do it on the fly here. So, first and foremost, what have you been up to, man? We haven't really talked. Life gets busy. You work a lot. I work a lot. How you been? What have you been up to?
I've been good. It's been good. I've been really busy lately. I'm going to Texas yet again, once again, on the 4th of April. This is probably my 8th time going to Texas. Made the terrible mistake of falling in love with a Texas girl, and I'm going to go spend another month with her. So I've been really cramming, trying to get in as many videos edited between the 2 or 3 channels that I make videos for before I leave. But I'm taking my computer with me too. I'm packing it up in the suitcase so I can edit while I'm over there. So my life has just been edit right now.
I know you've been really busy on the YouTube front, especially considering you do nothing but Switch videos right now, which is kind of the hot button topic. A lot of
hey,
people.
Come on.
I don't mind. Hey, I like the Switch, but a lot of people are just really giving you some flack about it here. I think. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our podcast was about the Switch. 11, 12. So 14 or so videos about the Switch.
Oh, I'm sure there's more than that as well.
I'm sure you got some in the tank.
I will say right now I have a video ready for Saturday that's all about the Xbox One, and that's probably already out at this point, so I thought I would mix it up with some Xbox One.
Gee, Xbox One. What is even there to talk about the Xbox One?
Not much. Not much anymore.
Which is kind of unfortunate.
Speaking of the Switch, I actually went down today to the mall to try and pick up a game for it, and I'm really struggling there. I'm really struggling in the physical game department on the Switch.
It's difficult.
Has Been Heroes just came out, and I was going to go pick it up, but it's $30 here in Canada, and I'm going to be in the States, as I said, on the 4th, and it's $20 there, and even once you do the conversion, I'll be saving $5. So I'm just going to pick that up there, but at the same time, it's like a multi-platform game. I'm only really buying it to have something, because right now the only physical game I have is Zelda. I'm not dropping $70 on Bomberman. I just can't do it. I'm not buying 1-2 Switch. I just can't do it.
No, look, 1-2 Switch seems to be like just the tech demo, and they really should have packed it in with the console as well. And I think Nintendo kind of dropped the bomb there, Bomberman. Because the thing is like here in Australia, the game prices are just outrageous. So I go to Target to go check out the wide selection of games, and they only have Just Dance 2017 and 1-2 Switch. And neither of which I'm paying $79.99 for. So there's absolutely zero chance of that. So the physical market for Switch games is like few and far between. So if you want to get some, hopefully they can bring some more to stores here. I luckily did, however, pick up Bomberman physical version. They had that used at EB Games, so I think I paid probably about $160 for that after conversion. So
yeah, no, that sounds about right. You actually got a good deal on that.
Yeah, it was the biggest sale ever, supposedly. They had the red signs all over the place and everything.
like that they do every weekend.
It's stupid. I don't know what the hell they're thinking there. But Bomberman's very fun. Fast Remakes is good too, and Blaster Master is very good. I've got a chance to play all those since we last talked on the podcast. So, hey, Switch is off to a good start so far.
Blaster Master is really fun, and we have Lego coming out on the 4th, Undercover, which I've already played through, but it will be nice playing with those Wii U loading times, the Wii U loading time options.
I love it.
And then there is Mario Kart coming later in the month. And I wasn't gonna pick that up, but I'm going to be on the road towards Oklahoma for Super BitCon, and I'm gonna be with Jordan, 8-Bit Eric, and Jay, who are all going to be bringing their Switches, and they've all told me that I need to get Mario Kart, so I don't have a choice, unfortunately. At least in April, I have something to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, look, I loved Mario Kart 8, but the thing is, it's kind of strange that they're bringing out the deluxe version 4 years later, or 3 years later now, and they're only bringing 4 new characters and a bunch of battle modes, which I probably won't even play, but I'm still going to buy it.
Isn't it just everything from the DLC plus battle mode?
Yeah, that's exactly it, and then 4 new characters.
Not really. And then that's probably going to be what, like $70?
Yeah. Well, you got the Splatoon boy and the girl, and then King Boo, and then the
so there's some new characters, but they don't really add much to the game. It's not like a game changer.
No, it's really not. But you know what? We're gonna buy it anyway because we're a Nintendo fan. But the Nintendo boys.
Doesn't it suck? Doesn't it absolutely suck that we have to buy this crap even though we don't want it?
This is the hard thing about being a Nintendo fanboy, but it is what it is.
People give a shit, but it's a hard life. It's not easy. It's not easy doing what we do. You try it. You try seeing cool games like Horizon come out. You see Persona 5 come out and wish that you could afford it, but you have to buy Mario Kart for the 7th time.
It's disgusting. Look, I just want nothing more than to be a part of the PlayStation 4 ecosystem. And I am, but I just choose to play games on the Switch, and that's my own fault. However, it is what it is, man. I'm addicted to Nintendo. Look at my shirt.
To be fair, I actually am getting Persona 5, and I'm probably even gonna drop the retail price on it, which is pretty unheard of, but like for me, unheard of.
Yep.
But I very recently played through Persona 4 on my Vita, and I absolutely loved it, and it was so out of nowhere for me because I'm not a huge RPG guy. I've played very few RPGs, and the ones I have done are very stereotypical. Your Chrono Triggers, your Earthbounds, your Final Fantasies, and I feel like Persona isn't one of the stereotypical ones. It's definitely mainstream. It's definitely one that a lot of people have played, but it's not like you can't say it to every person. They'll know what it is, like Final Fantasy. And I picked it up, and I adored it. And now I'm like, weirdly, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, really excited for a new Persona game. Like, I didn't think that was going to be me, but I'm definitely going to pick that up, and I think I'm going to like it a lot.
Yeah, Persona is a series that I've heard a ton about, and I've seen gameplay videos and everything. It's just, I just never touched it. That doesn't look like something that I personally would be interested in, but having never played it.
It didn't look like something I thought I would enjoy. It's just, you get addicted to both the story and the weird gameplay mechanics, going on dates with people. having to eat food, and then like there's this weird concept where like the battles and like the world where you fight in is like separate to the main game, and you kind of choose when you want to go into that world. So you're doing this like Sims sort of life simulator in Japan, and then every now and then you're like, I want to kill some bad guys. So I don't know, it's really interesting. I recommend trying it, like at least get a 5 hours in and see how you feel.
Sounds like a Final Fantasy game meets dating sim. All right.
A little bit. I'm sure there's a lot of Persona 4 fans out there getting mad at me for describing it that way right now, but that's kind of my experience with it.
I had my 24th birthday the other day, so I'm getting old now. I probably gonna expect my AARP card in the mail soon. For those of you.
Hey, did I say happy birthday to you?
I think you did. I can't remember.
I hope I did. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Oh man. Gee, and then last week my band played our first show. It was an acoustic gig, and then we got another gig booked next week. And by the way, here's some big news in my personal life that some people may be interested in. I'm going to be appearing on House Hunters International,
That's so weird.
Which is pretty funny. So for those of you who watch HGTV or get into those house hunting shows, I'm going to be on there, and of course I'm going to be talking about the podcast. So hope to see you guys over there. I'll say back to you guys.
Dude, that's really cool though. I'm kind of jealous of that. I've always wanted to be on a TV show.
I didn't ask for it. Like I was putting out some promo material for my band's new record a couple months ago, and I had somebody message me from the production company. It was like, would you be interested in being on TV? You look like you'd be good on TV. I was like, all right.
All right.
So okay, whatever. So we're gonna film at the end of April, so that's exciting and interesting news over my neck of the woods.
Speaking of birthdays in Australia, it does really suck because obviously I grew up in Australia, you know, a lot of friends in Australia and they're having birthdays, but you guys, you weird Australians, you're a day ahead.
Yes.
And so whenever I get notified of a birthday, I think I get notified either the day early. I think I get notified either the day early or the day after. I think a day early.
It's the day after, because like
a day after. Okay.
All my Australian friends commented on my Facebook, oh, happy birthday, whatever. And then just so happens, because I have a lot of North American friends, it's like the next day, it's still my birthday. So basically, now that I've moved to a different time zone, I have 2 birthdays in 1 year.
Yeah.
It's so good.
For me, it sucks though, because I try and remember my friends' birthdays, and I'll message them and they're like, oh, it was yesterday. I was like... I mean, Facebook says it's today. What do you want me to do?
Who's the dick now? What?
Me.
So yeah, we've both been busy, but again, thanks for the response for the first episode. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, especially for those of you out there who pointed out my pit stains and a light colored shirt. So I've now switched over to clinical deodorant. It's working like a charm. So thank you. So let's get into our main topic today.
This was your topic.
This is my suggestion here. Times are changing, especially in the gaming industry. Let's talk about the idea of nostalgia in the gaming world. Like, how are games different? I mean, obviously games are graphically different now as opposed to how they were 20 years ago. Oh my God, 20 years ago. I can say that.
Go on.
How are they different? Like, do you play games differently now than you did, when you were a kid? Like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I don't. I'm so stubborn. I'm trying so hard to not play games any differently to how I grew up, because that's the way I absolutely love video games. Like the Switch, for example, let's dive back to that. Snake Pass came out recently.
Yeah, it did.
And it honestly looks like a fun game. It honestly looks like something that I would enjoy playing, but I haven't bought it and I don't think I will because it's only digital. And I'm not against digital, I just personally don't like it. It feels to me like I'm buying nothing, like I'm buying air. I'm buying the right to play this game for a little bit, but I don't actually have the game. And a big example as to why I feel that way and why I don't like it is because whenever I look at my Xbox One, especially Xbox One, because I've had 360, I've had an Xbox account for so long, I had a 360 for so long, I downloaded a lot of games, I bought them here and there, but for the most part, I got a lot of free games off the Xbox Live Gold. And every now and then, I'll look at a game, like the other day, I looked at Sleeping Dogs on the online. I'm like, oh, I've got to get that game eventually. I've never played it. And then I saw it said, re-download. And I remember, like, I have this. Like, this is actually, I could play this right now. It's mine. but it's not mine. And it's the kind of thing where, like, if I bought Snake Pass right now, and then 5 or 6 years I need to buy a new Switch for whatever reason, mine breaks or whatever, I can guarantee you I won't remember that I bought Snake Pass. There's no way I'm going to remember that game in particular, and I'm probably never going to play it again. If it's on my shelf, and 10, 20 years from now, I'm going to be like, oh, I remember that game. Let's play it. That feels more like I own something rather than I'm renting something.
I agree totally. And 10 years ago now, 12 years ago now, the Xbox Live Marketplace came into the forefront in everybody's living rooms and bedrooms and everything, and it made it so easily accessible to just throw your cash at just this screen and just watch it disappear into games. And that's the funny thing is, like, I've had Xbox Live accounts over the years, and I say accounts because, you know, you forget your passwords or you don't write them down, and there's these games just in limbo that you own but you don't, so you're just paying for thin air. And it's unfortunate, you know, for people like me who I love to buy physical if I can. The majority of the games are only available digitally, and the market is shifting towards a digital future now because a lot of the games are running at a discounted price, maybe $5-10 cheaper, because you got to pay for the packaging and all the artwork and all that stuff for a physical game. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of disappointing, but I guess that's just the way that things are going. And for a collector like me, it's difficult.
You know, something that's really showing me that's the way that it's going is, I don't know if you heard, but GameStop just announced they're closing down. I think they upped it to 190
I saw that. It's disappointing.
Stores, and it's disappointing. And I saw a lot of people online, actually. I saw one guy on my friends list in particular, and I don't know a lot of people on my Facebook friends list, so I don't know him. And if you're listening to this, I'm sorry for using you as an example. He said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, they're closing down 190 stores, ha 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 ha, thank God, like, I'm so happy, like, down with GameStop, screw GameStop. But there's a couple things in that. For starters, that's 190 stores with people working in them.
Yeah, they're going to lose their jobs.
That's at least 3 or 4 people per store, at least, that are probably going to lose their jobs. So try not to get too excited about it, but also think about what that means for us as for people who love physical games. Mm-hmm. The less GameStops, if they're closing down, it's because there's less of a demand for physical games.
That's right.
There's less people going in and buying physical games and more people buying them online, and they're adapting to that market. And GameStop, love them or hate them, they are the biggest entity in video games, in selling video games. So once they're gone, you're going to have the third party, like mom and pop stores, or however you want to call them, are scattered around here and there, and then you're going to have your Best Buys and your Targets and stuff like that. But if physical media is really going that way, those places will stay in business, but they're going to downscale, and they're going to have less and less physical. And there's 2 things that can happen from that point. One, either we're going to completely lose physical games altogether, or the manufacturing costs for those physical games are going to go up.
That's right.
Because less people are buying them, so you're going to have to pay more. So GameStop closing down is not a good thing for people that love buying physical games. It's scary.
That's the thing, is, like, a lot of people are like, down with the GameStop devil, and it's like, look, you can't, I understand where people are coming from, but you can't patronize the people who work there, because I know some employees that have worked there, like, they're just doing their job. They don't really want to give you the power-up card. Like, I've had people seriously try and, like, solicit me for it, and the reason why is because they have a quota to do it, and that's why I choose not to shop at GameStop or EB Games if I can help it. But the thing is that the only brick-and-mortar store here in Australia for game retailer, at least in my area, is EB Games, and it's disappointing. That's why when I was back home, I always would drive the extra 10 minutes to go to my my retro game store called Microgame. Shout out to Chris from Microgame, the manager. I know you're watching. You like this stuff. I would always go there and give them business because I was friends with the guys there, and they would always give me some good deals on retro games. But I would always go there, and they would undercut, you know, the new games by $2 or $3. I feel more comfortable giving them my business than just throwing it at this cash fiend, just business entity. So, like, people hate GameStop as a thing, but you can't really hate the people who work there. And, like, I sympathize for them, you know, losing their jobs. It's disappointing, but we're heading towards a digital future now. So whether we like it or not, I'm still surprised that Switch went with cartridges, because from a manufacturing cost, I'm sure you've seen some of the Switch games are getting more expensive than PS4 counterparts. It's kind of strange, but, you know, it costs more to make a cartridge. Who knew?
Touching on that GameStop thing again, I do want to say one thing. While I don't love GameStop, I'm not sponsored by GameStop. I don't. It's not like I barely shop there, to be honest. I actually don't hate GameStop, and I've made a video about this before. Are they really that bad? And while But the corporate side of things, they can do a lot of really scummy things. As far as the retro game side of things go, what they pay for the retro games and then what they try and sell them for, and then the quality around that, terrible. They have no clue what they're doing.
Don't like it.
I have to imagine that it's more so ignorance than anything else, because they're not training any people with retro games. They just have people working there that are just buying these retro games. Like, it's that whole system is absolutely ridiculous, and I'll give you that. But there is one thing, and there's a couple things I do actually like about GameStop. One, their trading credit is actually really good.
Yes, it's good.
I mean, if you go and you take your old PS2 games or PS3 like sports games, they're going to give you 10 cents because they just don't sell. They are worth almost nothing.
That's right.
But if you take stuff that's actually still worth money, they will give you decent money for it. And they always do extra deals on Nintendo stuff as well, because I know Nintendo is worth more. Here's a good example. When I was going to pre-order my Switch, they actually gave me double trade-in credit towards anything Switch related. And I took in games like Paper Mario Color Splash, because I actually managed to find one cheap and I had a spare. They were offering 30 trading credit for it, and then they gave me $60 for that game.
That's good.
Towards my Switch. That is such a huge chunk.
That's very good.
I also took in Battlefield 1. They were offering 30 for that, so they gave me another 60. So for 2 games, I got 120 off, and I got more than what I paid for them back, because I don't pay full retail for stuff like that. So that is something I really like about GameStop. And the last 2 games they put out, Has Been Heroes and Song of the Deep. Let's take Song of the Deep, for example. Both these games are $20. They could make them any price they want. They could overcharge for these games. Song of the Deep is worth way more than $20. Now it's $10. That game came out at 20. It's pretty much like an underwater Metroid. It's a really fun game. And you look at some of the games that's coming out for Switch right now, like even Has Been Heroes just came out for Switch, and it's $20, and that's a cartridge. And then you have Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is like 70. I don't know. To GameStop's credit, their games that they've been making are cheap too. So they could be being more scummy with that, and they're not.
That's the thing, is like, I don't know. Look, there is the MSRP that controls the suggested retail price per game. And look, I think we've accepted the standard, at least in North America, that new games used to be $49.99, but now they're $59.99. So you pay $60 for a brand new game. But like what you were speaking to before, Song of the Deep, when that came out back in June or July, I saw your review of that on your channel, or your like early look into it, and I was like, shit, that actually looks pretty good. So I went and bought it. And it was really great, and they had a really great kind of marketing campaign. They had the pop vinyl, so you could buy the pop vinyl of the girl, and then the submarine. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's just really interesting. It's like, who controls the prices for these? And especially with the retro games, it's like, I don't know what they're going off of. And it's even more disgusting now, because the Value Villages and the old Salvation Armies, it's like, you go in there looking for a deal for games, and then I think you had a video recently where you went somewhere, like a Savers or something like that, and like most of the games were pretty much eBay value. And it's
way above.
It's sad. It's so sad. It's like retro gaming is caught up to the point now where it's just become so much more popular than it used to be probably 10, 15 years ago, that you really got to pay for it. That's why I kind of stopped collecting for a little bit, just because it's so expensive.
Such a struggle. It's bad when I'm excited to go to Retropalooza Houston next month, which is a convention where many people go and bring thousands of their games, and even with them all there, with these like huge collections that they paid money for, they've amassed, I will get way better deals than I will walking into Value Village and buying games from there that they were donated. And that to me blows my mind.
Yeah, it's the community taking care of itself, which is really the good thing. It's like,
well, there is that, but there's also the fact that the people at the conventions are selling them for market value, because if they didn't, they would get ridiculed for it. Yeah. Whereas Value Village can do whatever they want, and people care, but they don't care.
No, because it's just Value Village. And same thing with GameStop. Now, I haven't bought any retro games from them, admittedly, and I won't, because I'm smarter than that.
I won't. Absolutely won't.
And I'm sure you've seen, there's somebody bought like an Earthbound or something like that, and they had a look at the board, and it may not have been a legit board, and it's like, it used to be funny a couple years ago when you would see Battletoads sit under the counter for $999,000. It used to be a little bit of a meme, but now it's like, come on, man. It's like, we don't actually want to pay $999,000 for Battletoads. I mean, it's a $20 game. I'll give you a little anecdote here before we cut to our little mid-break. I remember when I was a kid years and years ago when the GameCube first came out in like 2001, September or something like that. I can't really remember. I went and took in all my N64 stuff and all my Dreamcast stuff, threw it on the counter. I got a GameCube and Smash Brothers for $2, which is pretty good. But I'm kicking myself now because I'd rather have all my other stuff. But like, I've done so many stupid things trading games, and like, I traded in a Wii one time for $50 so I could go buy Chinese. Like, I've made some stupid mistakes, and it's like the Chinese.
That's one of the best ones I've ever heard.
It wasn't even that good. It's so disappointing, but I guess that's our little piece about GameStop. So we've.
What kind of Chinese were you buying that would cost $50?
Well, the Chinese was only $20, but I wanted an extra $30.
Oh, okay.
Who knows what I spent that on? Probably candy or something like that. But
oh my!
Oh, there goes my camera. So.
Quick cut to ad break.
Okay. Shit. All right. So my camera's been falling. Okay.
While Eric's fixing that, actually, I just had one last thought about GameStop. Bear in mind too, when you do take any games to trade in, that they don't value cases. That's a really nice thing that I do. Take in your discs, take in your Nintendo 3DS games, and just take them out of the cases. Keep the cases for display value, or in case if you're a collector like me, you might find them loose later on. They do not value the cases at all. It doesn't affect the trading credit. In fact, I took a Wii U Pro controller, and I took it initially with the cable, and she was going to give me $18 for the Pro controller, and then I'm like, if you separate those, could you give me a little bit for the cord too? It turned out she gave me $4 for the cord as well, so it turned into like $22. So yeah,
that's pretty good. I mean, look, okay, obviously I'm really struggling with the camera here, but GameStop really does actually take care of you sometimes, depending on who you talk to. Some people actually are there to service the customer, so sometimes customer service can be a bit
Dude, some people just get it. Some people like work there, but they understand who they're working for, and they'll really help you out, and they'll let you know what they can do to work around the system.
Yeah.
I went in with Billy recently, and GameStop online or over the phone had sent him a new GameStop card with some money on it because his wallet got stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent him another card, but they didn't activate it. So he pretty much had lost that money and didn't really have a way of proving that he had the money on there.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy in the store felt bad for him. And so Billy had bought a game in that was going to give him $17 trading credit. He wanted a game that was $35. But the guy was like, look, I'm just going to make this game $17. So you just trade your game in and then you can just take this home. And I hope that helps your situation a little bit. So the people that work there can help. Just be nice to them and don't be happy when they lose their jobs.
That's exactly right. So GameStop, look, they may be closing, but have a heart. You know, these people got to pay their bills somehow, even if they still got to push those power-up cards on you.
Yeah, GameStop sponsoring our podcast since right now.
All right, so we're at the point now in the program where we're going to take a couple-minute break, reset the cameras, take a leak, maybe have a little bit of a snack. Brought to you by Reese's Spreads. Oh,
stop! We're not sponsored by
peanut
any
butter
of these people.
cups and a spread. Very good.
That spread is so good, though. I miss that spread.
I've never had it until yesterday. I dipped my spoon in it, and I was like, "Woo!" That's an explosion of flavors.
Mix it with Nutella. Just do it. Just do it.
Well, maybe I'll do it during the break here. So during the ad break here, like last time, a lot of people really liked the response. We had a good response to the song that we had in there, which was the Snatcher title theme. So today, we're going to be bringing you the Mega Man 3 title theme, brought to you by yours truly, otherwise known as Retro Game Remix. So, hey, me, take it away.
welcome back. You are still listening to the Everything's Taken podcast,
Hooray.
the podcast which, in my opinion, is completely unnecessary. I am here with Eric, and you just heard his wonderful rendition of the Mega Man title theme. Right now, we are going to go into talking about something that I actually have a lot to say about, and that's gaming culture now versus when we were kids.
Yes.
And the first thing that comes to mind there, and it was something that you just said to me during the ad break, which triggered this inside of me. It was like schoolyard secrets.
Triggered.
Back when we were kids, triggered. Back when we were kids, and like you be at the schoolyard and you'd be like, "Hey, do you hear that you can get Mew in Pokemon Red if you walk to the left in this area, and then you walk to the right, then you press AB and then start." So like those kinds of things, and it's really interesting because obviously most of that has died, especially because we're not in school anymore. But recently, something that really triggered that inside me and brought me back to the nostalgic past was when Zelda came out, because there is so much in that game. There is a crazy amount in that game, like things you can do, like freezing the boulders, smashing them, and then standing on them and going for a ride, or throwing those octo balloons onto rafts and making an airship out of them, or like surfing on a shield. And it's stuff that like you can finish the game and you won't know that you can do any of it. And the whole time that I was playing the game, me and you were messaging each other. Sean and I were messaging each other. All my friends were like messaging me like, "Did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do that?" Or I'd be like, "Hey, how did you find this secret?" And it was such an awesome feeling of I usually try and stay away from spoilers. I don't want to hear what people have to say, but with Zelda, I wanted to know it all. I wanted to share the secrets. I wanted to tell my secrets. I wanted it all.
The thing I really liked about Zelda, and we really talked about this last time too, but like obviously having finished it since then, Zelda really brought back that sense of wonder that I missed from my childhood. Like I remember, like you just said before, the schoolyard secrets. Oh, you can find Mew under the pickup truck, but you gotta press this, and you gotta take a photo of your screen and send it to Reggie's post box. Like it's just stupid shit like that. But like, even in the early days when Zelda first came out there a couple weeks ago, supposedly there's a secret shop where you can buy all the Hylian gear or something like that. It just, I don't know, that mythos, if you will, was alive even just for a little while everybody was still figuring everything out about the game. And like that's just something that you just don't get anymore, because we grew up in a pre-internet age. That's right, we grew up with things like floppy disks and VCRs and cassette tapes. We used to have to rewind cassette tapes using pencils.
I miss it.
I love it.
I miss it.
Honestly, like I at home back in the States, I have a VCR player and like an old retro TV, and like I would sit and watch tapes. Like I just used to, like, I don't know, like nostalgia. That's really what we wanted to talk about here is nostalgia. Like I love it. I get off on it. It's great.
You know what I remember doing? I remember I used to have, my granddad gave me this camera, and it was like a camera, man. Like this thing was massive, like a shoulder thing. And you had to put a cassette tape into it to get it to record anything. But what I would do is, if I wanted to watch like a movie in my room or like a TV show in my room, I would go out into the living room and I would put in a VHS, like Shrek or whatever I wanted to watch. Like, I don't even know what I wanted to watch back then. And I would use this huge hunking cassette tape video player to actually record the TV. And then I would go into my room and I would watch it on the little black and white screen, because it was like having a little portable movie device. I don't know. I used to do some weird stuff with technology when I was a kid.
I did the same thing. I remember for one Christmas I got a portable television, but it was just like one of those little square things with the long antenna on top of it, like and it took like probably 39 volt batteries or something like that, and it was just like the reception was so bad, but it was so cool. Like it just made you I don't know, I just craved that technology, and now I'm just so complacent with it. It's like, duh iMac, duh iPhone. Yeah, I get pissed off when I can't load a 10-second Snapchat. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we've really taken things for granted here.
I know, it's bad. It's honestly bad. And I'm addicted to my phone. I'm absolutely addicted to my phone.
Too.
The damn thing is always going off, and I can't help it. I'm always on it. I have to charge it like 3 times a day, and it has what I consider to be a really good battery life. I'm just always on it. and it's so bad. It stresses me out, and it was funny because the first time I ever came to the States, I was there for 3 months, and I refused to pay for data because it was so expensive in the States compared to Australia. And so I went 3 months. Pretty much every time I was out of the house, I didn't have a phone, and it was so nice. I got in touch with reality. I felt like de-stressed the entire time.
I wish.
But then as soon as I got my phone back, I was like addicted like day one again.
I wish I could do it. It's honestly, it's easier said than done. In this day and age, I'm just so glued to it because, especially living so far away, like God forbid something happens with my family at home, I need to know that second. And if I don't have that, it's like, what? Am I going to wait 3 weeks for a letter to come in the mail? Because, by the way, sending anything from the post from New York all the way to Victoria, it takes a long time. And it's just ridiculous. You can't rely on it at all. So I've become so glued into my phone. I'm so nostalgic for the things that I used to have when I was a kid, like cassette tapes and VHS things. Like I used to spend so many afternoons watching Darkwing Duck on VHS. Ooh, tell me about that. And Rugrats the movie and Digimon the movie 2000.
Oh, I had those. It's
the good old days. And it's funny. It's like,
it's
I can't imagine in 10 years' time. It's like, oh man, the good old days. I remember my iPhone 7. You remember that?
I mean, we're both relatively young. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're not getting up there or anything like that. But at the same time, I still remember. I remember having when your phone was a phone, and it was like, it wasn't your phone, it was a phone. It was the phone, and you kept it in most likely the kitchen, but there was just a room of your house, and that was the room where the phone lived. And it would ring, and you would answer it, and whoever was on the other end would be like, hey, I'm looking for this person. I remember when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and my girlfriend at the time, I don't know why I had a girlfriend when I was that young, called me on my home phone, and I'm standing there in the kitchen with this like cord attached to it, and she broke up with me on the phone like throughout like dinner, and like I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't like do anything, I couldn't like hide, I just had to be there attached to this piece of string.
Stand there
and so
and cry like a man.
I like my mom is looking at me, and like sit back down at the table, she's like, did she just break up with you? I was like, yeah. Like I couldn't hide it, I couldn't do anything about it, like I was right there in the kitchen.
Oh man,
I kind of miss that. I honestly do.
I do too. That's why have you watched Stranger Things?
I love Stranger Things.
It was so good.
I love anything set in like 70s, 80s, early 90s, but I just love all of that.
Stranger Things made me nostalgic for a time period I wasn't alive in. Like I was born in 93, so like I kind of knew what it was like to live in like a suburban area and, you know, have your corded phone, although I grew up with an N64 instead of an Atari or something like that. Like I got so nostalgic for that time period after watching that. That's probably why like our intro song and the intro video, which we actually have an intro video now, it's set in that 80s time period. And like the 80s has just become so much more popular now than ever. It's like it was 30 years ago, man, but like people just love the 80s and they just love all that nostalgia stuff. So I don't know, like if I could go back in time, I'd probably go back to when I was a kid and just enjoy it. You know, I'd love to just unplug from the digital age, but I can't because my life is just so tethered to all these devices and things. And I feel like, you know, I'm sure you've probably seen the picture scrolling through the web and everything. It's like it's a couple, husband and wife, laying in bed, but they're both laying with their backs turned to each other, looking at their phone each night. Like that's me and my wife. Instead of spending time with each other, we're looking at our phones, and it's disappointing. But it's like I'm addicted to it.
I will say one thing in me and my partner's favor, at least right now, and granted we haven't been dating too long, we text each other so much that when we're with each other, we don't really have too much of a need to check our phones. I check my phone for like, you know, like work reasons. Like I work online obviously for a company editing videos, and then my stuff I like to make sure that like my videos aren't like getting called out on Keemstar or anything. Like not that dramatic, but like I like to check up and see what's happening. But we are relatively good at like just being together when we're together. But I mean, when we're together, it's always seems so fleeting because I always have to leave the country again in a couple of weeks. So we try and make the most of it.
That's the thing is like when you depend on talking to your significant other through like Skype or text messaging. Like when I was dating my wife, I had to leave Australia because my visa was expiring. So there was a period of time where we were away from each other for 2 months. and all we had to do to talk was using phone, texting, Skyping, Facebook messaging, and like I just got so addicted to it because it was the only way that I can talk to my significant other. But now it's like, do I spend more time with my wife or do I spend more time on my phone? And I'm kind of leaning towards my phone, and it's not a conscious effort because believe me, I'd much rather have my wife than my phone. But in the moment, it's like, oh, I got a red notification on Facebook. Who likes my thing? Who's commenting on my status? It's like, everything's taken podcast, new comment. You guys talk over each other. It's like, what am I looking at this? What am I looking at this for?
Let me ask you, when you were apart from your girlfriend, did you ever find yourself getting into like little bicker, like arguments, little fights over like stupid stuff?
Well,
were you pretty good about
honestly,
it?
we've never fought once. We've fought about external things, but we've never had an internal conflict. But it was very difficult because the internet in Australia is so bad. You hear that, Malcolm Turnbull? I hope you're listening. Your internet is garbage. So it was very difficult to keep in touch because like I'd be Skyping my wife or my girlfriend at the time, and and it was just so difficult because the quality was so bad. Calls would drop out, and it's like, I'm glad we're gonna see each other again because I don't know. I mean, not that I would not be together over technology, but it was just frustrating to try and keep in touch.
Yeah, no, I get it. Kim lives on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and her top internet speeds are supposed to be 3 megabytes, but she doesn't hit it. She never hits it. So every time she has to be in a specific room when we talk, and it'll cut out constantly, and she needs to stand still on one leg with her hand in the air. Like, it's ridiculous. But it's really hard doing long distance over the phone, especially when you're trying to like convey tone and text, and then things get taken out of context. Because I mean, you did 2 months, and that it's 2 months feels like 2 years.
Yeah, it does.
Kim and I have been dating now for maybe like 6 months, and I think we've been together for 2 months of that. So it's a really weird dynamic because 4 months of our relationship were built on the phone. Mm-hmm. And it's such a weird dynamic. And it's so weird when you think about like going back way back when, like that never happened. Like the internet has
changed everything.
It introduced a whole new way to date and meet people and talk to people. And there's like, if this was back in like 1995, there's no way Kim and I would make it. Like what, sending like letters by pigeons, like we get like replies once every 2 months. Like no, it's not gonna happen. That's not gonna work.
Hang on, I gotta write a letter. Let me just send Hedwig over. Or whatever the hell the owl's name is. It's like it
was Hedwig.
It's funny because it's like you and I would not be doing this at all.
No, this podcast couldn't exist.
No, the digital age, like it's totally changed everything. And I just, like we said before, nostalgia. I just craved the time years ago where I could just be a kid and maybe go swimming and play some video games, and that was it. That was my day.
You know what I miss? I miss walking to school with my Discman in my pocket.
Oh.
I had the biggest, baggiest pants that I got exclusively so that I could fit my Discman in my pocket. And it was funny because every time you took a step, if you took a step too hard, it would skip. So you had to shuffle your way to school if you wanted to hear the entirety of the song you were listening to without a skip in it.
I know. My wife and I were talking about that the other day. I was like, I remember Christmas in like 2006 or 2005, I got a nice Sony Walkman or Discman or whatever it was, and it was like white, orange, and like gray, and it was like so cool. And I remember like taking trips with the rest of the class back when I was in school, and people have their big folders of CDs and everything. It's like, man, check out their collection of CDs, and it's like, look, it's like we have iPod Nanos. They're like as big as an ant, and we can.
Dude, I remember when iPods came out, when MP3 players came out, they blew my mind. I didn't understand it.
I don't know.
I couldn't wrap my head around the concept for about 3 years, I think, before I finally understood it. And I remember the first MP3 player I ever got, I think, had like 512 megabytes of like space for me to put on my like 20, 50 songs, whatever it was at the time. And it was just the weirdest thing. I didn't understand what I was doing or how it was doing it, but it was awesome.
Well, I can tell you 512 megabytes is certainly not enough for the Everything's Taken podcast, because I'll tell the viewers a funny story. Is like we finished the podcast and we had to transfer files to each other because Wood was going to edit it and I did the audio. I sent that off to him and I had to send him my video, and the video footage of me was literally 8.5 gigs, and because I have like a 0.5 megabit upload speed, it literally took like 3 days to transfer through
It did.
Dropbox. It was
did.
disgusting.
And like every day I'd message you, I'm like, what's the update? And you'd be like, 20 hours left. I'm like, all right, keep it going.
It was so bad. But like, I don't know. Like I remember the first time I heard of an MP3 player, it was like in a commercial back in the late 90s. I was probably watching like Guts, like Nickelodeon Guts or something. Like I'm sure you guys remember that show. And like I remember there was a commercial, like it was like a Eggo breakfast waffle, and then enter the competition to win a free MP3 player. I was like, what is that? And I thought it was the coolest thing. And MP3, MP3's garbage quality now. We go for waves or .mp4 or whatever the kids listen to these
I remember
days.
when my mum got so mad at me because I took my MP3 player to school. She actually didn't know. I mean, not my MP3 player, my Walkman, my Discman. She didn't know that I took it to school. And but I mean, like, I had one of those backpacks, like any backpack that you bought in like the late 90s, early 2000s had a pocket in the back with like a little like thing you can put your speakers through, like a little hole. So like I had to do it. Like I didn't have a choice. Like it was built into my backpack, right? And she got so mad at me once for taking it in. I swear even then those things were only worth $20. Like
Probably.
they were never worth a great deal of money. They were always really cheap.
Oh man. And I remember having like the shittiest headphones too. It's like now I actually care about the quality audio that I listen to. Like I would have listened.
If I go back, if I went back in time and like took my earbuds for a second and listened to what I was actually listening to, it probably sounded so bad. Just like
Do you I don't know if they ever made their way to Australia. Do you remember hit clips? Do you remember those?
Yeah, man. I was about to mention hit clips. I was actually in one of my Game Quest episodes. Like the Backstreet Boys hit clips, Britney Spears. It would literally play just like 10 seconds of a song. The most pointless thing ever. It was literally just like, oops, I did it again. I played with you. And then it would like go out and that would be it. And you would spend like $10 just for like this clip, this like little clip of this tiny thing. Oh, that was ridiculous. And then there was Digimon. Remember the little Digimon things that came out too? Those things were cool, man. Those were like the coolest part of my childhood.
I want to say the Digijex.
I say childhood. I'm pretty sure I was in high school at that point. I think I just started high school, if not a couple years in. But those things were awesome.
What were they called? The Digimon. I literally just Googled Digimon Pokedex because that's the only way I can describe it. But like,
they were Digi.
It was like Tamagotchi.
Digi something. It was Digi something.
Yes.
Blanking.
Digidex? That's not it.
No, it's not it.
I can't remember.
It was Digi something. I know it was. And then there was scanners.
Yes, I remember
where
those.
You could like scan barcodes and get little like creatures out of the barcodes.
That was back in the day when like shit that we used to play with was really cool. Like, I mean, you look at the fast food toys that you get through McDonald's now, and it's just like whatever. But like back in the day when Digimon and Pokemon were the thing, like back in the States, I don't know if it was over here in Australia, but like you used to go to Burger King and get like gold Pokemon cards and like the big ass Pokeballs. Like they were legit.
Yeah, I have one of those.
They're really cool.
One of those up there somewhere. Billy has a collection of old McDonald's toys, and he has like all the it's like a burger and like a fries and like a shake, and they're all these little models, but they like turn into these like awesome transformers.
Yeah, like toys used to be
So
really cool. Like I used to feel
cool.
like. I feel like people used to really care about the toys now. Obviously, it's just, people get there to get their 20-piece McNugget and just go away. But, like, I feel like when we were kids, like, the toys that we had were really cool. I don't look at anything now. Like, most of the toys that are out now, or even games or anything, like, they're not as cool as what we used to have. But
I saw Furbies are making a comeback.
Oh, my gosh. I remember Furbies used to be like the biggest thing to ever happen ever.
Oh, I wanted one. I had one. I wanted one so bad. They were like little pretend gremlins. I thought they were the coolest thing.
Pretendlins. It was a Digivice.
Pretendlins. Digivice. Thank you. That was going to bother me all night. So you have in your notes here, talk about the Dreamcast.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I love the Dreamcast, honestly. The Dreamcast, I wish Sega would just rise from the ashes, rise from your grave, Altered Beast, and just bring back the Dreamcast. Because I have a lot of nostalgia for the Dreamcast. I remember back in September of 1999. It was like 9/9/99, whatever it was. And I got the Dreamcast and the Sonic Adventure. And it was like, my mind was blown. Like, I loved Sonic. But I never had a Genesis as a kid, and I only had one opportunity to play a Sega Genesis when I was a kid. And it was at the sleepover where all these kids, and they were like my first or second grade class, and they invited me for a sleepover, and it was the first time I saw Rocket Knight Adventures. And those kids did not let me play it because none of the kids in grade school liked me for whatever reason. They were just... If those kids are watching today, I want you to know that you guys are just garbage. This is a family friendly program, and if I could say what I wanted to say, you guys would be in tears, but I'm not an internet bully. I want you to know that you robbed me of the opportunity to play Rocket Knight Adventures and Sonic 2. So, like, I just craved to play Sonic. I thought Sonic was the coolest thing. So my life was just, at that point in time, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, it revolved around playing as Sonic and Knuckles and Amy and even Big the cat, you know, Froggy. I like the Dreamcast. What can I say? I just wanted to talk
It's funny.
about that.
I have a similar memory with the PlayStation 2. I went to my best buddy's house, and I grew up with Nintendo like my whole life. And when I say that, it's literal. The same year my parents had me, they bought an NES and a ton of games, which was 1990. And I grew up with it. I grew up with the system. I grew up playing every game that they had and fell in love with it. And I didn't end up getting another system until I was like 10 years old, and I got a 64. Way late to the game on that one, but I finally decided to upgrade from the NES. So when I randomly walked into my buddy's house for the first time and I saw he had a PlayStation,
whoa,
that's something that I'd never seen before. This was like an adult console. Like, I saw this as such a I don't know how to explain it. It was
able to
mature...
buy PlayStations at sex shops. They were just adult consoles.
Yeah, I know. It was an adult console. I'm seeing Devil May Cry. I'm seeing I'm actually, one of the things that's like caught my eye, and the thing that I fell in love with the most was Kingdom Hearts. He had this game called Kingdom Hearts that I had absolutely never even heard of before at all, and he was playing it, and he was going into these worlds, into these Disney worlds as this Sora character. And I liked Final Fantasy, like what I'd seen of Final Fantasy up until that point, and I was just blown away. Like, I was like, it was just the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. And I begged him to let me play. And he wouldn't. Like, I went to his house for to hang out with him, like just me and him, and he wouldn't let me touch that controller. And I asked his mom, I'm like, can I play for like 10 minutes? And I remember she said to me, like, in this way, no, it's his PlayStation. I was just like, at the time I was like sad. Now I look back on it and I'm like, what a bitch.
Oh my god.
But like, at the time I was just devastated. So I didn't get to play that for like another 5 or 10 years myself. But when I finally did, it was an experience. I gotta tell you.
The first time I played Kingdom Hearts, it was unlike anything I've ever played before. And I got it the Christmas after it came out, and it was just so incredible. I thought it was so cool because obviously I was a big Final Fantasy VII fan when I was a kid, and seeing Cloud on the PlayStation 2 voice acted by some guy from General Hospital, whatever, daytime TV, like, it was legit. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool to play as Sora and Mickey Mouse and Goofy and all these Final Fantasy characters. It makes zero sense, but it was just so cool.
It made no sense, but it was so cool. And there was nothing like it. I'd never seen anything even remotely like it. It was like I was playing a really cool movie. Yeah, everything's changed so fast in the last 20 years. And to a point you said earlier, it's going to be really interesting 10 to 20 years from now. You know, we're going to be 40, 45 years old, getting close to 50. And things are going to be different again. I mean, you can only assume they're going to be equally different again in their own individual ways. And it's going to be the weirdest thing. Like, I have no idea what's coming, because you can't predict any of this stuff.
No, you can't. The iPhone's 10 years old this year. 10 years old. And
it's weird when you like today I was watching How I Met Your Mother. That show had 10 seasons. I think it started about 10, 11 years ago. And you watch the first season and it's just these people like my age now, pretty much. They are living their lives in an apartment, going to a bar. Nothing's really that different, but the phones they were using were like these almost like bricks.
I know,
I swear, like these big silver bricks with buttons, buttons for some reason, and a small little screen that looked like it wasn't even legible. And this is only going back 10 years ago now.
It really sounds like they were using ColecoVision controllers for phones.
Yeah. And now we're walking around playing our Switch which isn't even a phone. It's just like an extra thing we buy to play games on exclusively. It's such a weird.
These days we're playing
everything's
Super
weird.
Mario Run and Fire Emblem and all that stuff. But back in the day, man, Snake on the Nokia phone.
I was good at
Couldn't
that.
beat it. It was pretty fun game. But when your snake got pretty long, it got too hard. Yeah, that's what she said.
I wasn't gonna make that joke.
Well, look, I think we're at the part in the program where we've exhausted all our topics, but I think the notes that we had down from the podcast, I didn't know if we'd be able to get through it, but you know what, we did, and we changed the topic so many times. I think we had a nice little nostalgia discussion and a GameStop discussion as well. So I think we covered a lot of ground today. I don't know about you.
I had fun. I had fun today talking about the past and some stuff that I grew up with. And there's so much more that we could dive into and talk about, but there just isn't time.
There's just not time. I mean, the time has gone by so fast. Honestly, like I started high school 10 years ago this year. Like
I finished high school 10 years ago.
No way, dude. You're not.
Yes, man. I graduated in 2008. It's 2017.
Oh my God.
So in a year I finished, let's just round it up, because what's 9 years as opposed to 10? I finished high school a decade ago. You know how crazy that is?
That's funny because, like, you know, when we first met, I looked at you as like, oh, this 24-year-old guy or whatever. But now it's like, oh my gosh, you're that much older, and I can't, like, time.
I know, even now. And you remember that first time we hung out, that first time we went to that cupcake diner, and it felt like yesterday, but that was like going on 3 years ago now.
And here we are, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we're only getting 4 characters after 3 years. Come on, Reggie, what are you doing?
But on the bright side, it's only the 6th time I bought the game, so that's not bad for 4 years.
That's exactly right. And like, it's been a year since I've been married on Sunday, so like as soon as we switch off the podcast here, my wife has a secret weekend getaway booked that I don't know about as a surprise. So we're going to go do something.
That's crazy.
Like a year of my life is gone,
dude.
And that's it.
My son's 2 years old next month.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know his name.
I know. No. Time is just flying
we'll
by.
Call him Lil Reg.
Little Reg, yeah. Little Reg.
Also, just really quickly before we end here, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who has not yet turned HD Rumblings into a meme, because that is our inaugural meme, and I love it. And you guys need to take it away.
I saw a couple.
Yeah.
I saw some HD rumblings through the Twitters.
Yeah. So that's been the second episode, and that kind of flew by. Gee, almost like the last 10 years.
Right. Yeah, let's get nostalgic. We'll talk about this episode next week and the things that have changed.
Gee, you remember that last episode when I dressed like that
one time.
shitty Nintendo rap from 2007?
Yeah. I think I said I had a kid at some point.
Gee, man, he's a week older. Man, times change.
I know. It's different now.
All right,
let's wrap it up. Let's go home.
All right, let's go home. Well, thanks everybody for watching episode 2 of the Everything's Taken podcast. Remember, you can find this on the Beat 'em Ups YouTube channel as it stands now, as well as iTunes and Stitcher, now that everything's up, and SoundCloud, of course. So if you're listening on iTunes and Stitcher, please give us some reviews, some feedback. Keep watching. We'll keep making them. It's been fun.
See you next time, guys. We love you.
Back to you guys.
ETPodcast. The podcast to phone home about.
Yeah, we got to find a better way to end it.
Yeah, we really do.